Wel, prynhawn da pawb and croeso y cyginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Happy Cymru Cook Along. My name is Richard and as you know, this week we are celebrating National Veg Week, and on Monday session we made a wonderful little roasted vegetable couscous salad, and today we are going to be making a roasted vegetable lasagna, which I promise you is cooking in there as I speak and smells and looks absolutely bendigedig fantastic. Now then, I'm just as with all of the live cook along sessions, now that I've got all of my computer bits, I just need to go and wash my hands and then I will be back in the room. So I'm going to give you this 20-second warning where I'm going to quickly go and wash my hands, and then I will be back to show you this afternoon session. But before I go, I just need to double check on my lasagnas. They are now cooked, so I'm just turning the oven down just so that they don't burn before I show you what they look like in a little while. So bear with me, I'm just quickly going to wash my hands and I will then be back in the room. Wel, prynhawn da pawb and croeso ac cyginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome to the cook along. I haven't disappeared, I'm just quickly washing my hands and then I will be back in the room. Just as always, we are concentrating on some healthy recipes this afternoon, and we're going to be making a wonderful, easy, and I promise you it is super easy, roasted vegetable lasagna, and I promise you it is so super simple, it is unbelievable. So I've just washed my hands and I remembered that I needed my wraps, because in this lasagna we're actually, rather than using lasagna sheets, we're actually going to be using some wraps as our little lasagna sort of layers, and I promise you it works really well, and because they're already cooked and they're nice and soft, it saves a lot of time. So I've now washed my hands so I can start off with my official bit this afternoon, and then as you know it will definitely go downhill from there. So as I said right at the start, my name is Richard, Richard Dwi. I'm doing athro boed gyda cyginio dan gilydd. I'm a food teacher and trainer and I run a small business called Cooking Together. That was very official, wasn't it? I do apologise about that. I was doing a training session this morning, so I was going into that mode. But welcome to the Happy Cymru Cook Along. This afternoon we are celebrating the second of our National Veg Week recipes, and we're going to be making, as I've already said probably a few times now, this roasted vegetable lasagna, and I promise you it is really a cowing lush. Now then, I'm hoping that my computer skills and my computer are now working, and if I click that button just there, the recipe card should have come up on the side. Yes, it has come up on the side just over there, and I'm just going to move it onto my big screen just on the side of me, and you can see for this recipe that we need a couple of onions, and this recipe will easily serve 4 to 6 people. I'm doing a half quantity this afternoon, that's why I'm not using all of those vegetables, but basically for a large 4-person sort of meal, and I would suggest that you're doing that because you can easily freeze it down and then do your batch cooking. You'll need 2 sort of medium-ish, small to medium sized onions. I've chosen, and on there you have got your red onions, but you could easily use white onions if you wanted to. And basically I've done all my cutting this afternoon. You can see you've got that lovely rainbow of colours, and I've just quartered them and then just sort of cut them into little pieces, and then you can start to separate those out as well. The next thing you've got 2 little peppers. So I've chosen, rather than having just one bog standard colour, I've got a green one and a red one just there. I've got a little bit of sweet potato, which is going to be, when it's roasted, is absolutely fantastic, right? And you can see just there that I had the world's largest sweet potato delivered to me this week, so I've just used a small amount and I've cut it peeled it and cut it into these little chunks just there. And believe it or not, they will cook quite happily in the oven in about 15 to 20 sort of minutes, right? The last thing I've got is I've got a courgette. And courgettes, as I was saying on Monday, we've just probably about 3 weeks ago planted our courgette in the garden, and I think we planted about 3 or 4 of them, right? By June, we're going to have courgettes coming out of our ears, right, for about 2 months. But they're absolutely fantastic. And when they're fresh, really, really super delicious as well. As I was saying on Monday, the bit that I don't like on a courgette, and the bit that lots of people don't like, is that central sort of seedy, squishy sort of bit. So just remove it. So I just quarter it and then cut that bit out, and then you just cut it into little pieces just as so. So that's all of our vegetables just there, and we're going to roast these in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes at 200 degrees centigrade. That works out at about gas mark sort of 6, or 190 gas mark sort of 5. You're going to be cooking it for approximately sort of 20 to 25 minutes. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for something over there, and it was directly underneath. Now, to roast these off, all that you need to add is just 1 spoonful of oil, and then you're going to give it a little mix. And rather than giving it a little mix in one direction, you're just going to give it a little mix in any direction, okay? So never forget to give it that little mix just as so. And that's ready now to go into the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm cooking at 200 today degrees centigrade, and I promise you they are absolutely delicious. On Monday I served those, as you know, on a bed of couscous with some cheese on top, and you got a really, really nice lunchtime sort of meal. So I'm not going to have to sort of cook those off, because here are some that I prepared earlier. And you can see I've just slowly and quickly just taken the edge off, so the vegetables are still going to have a little bit of bite, right? And they were in the oven for about 20 minutes, right? At 200 degrees centigrade. And you can see everything's lovely and cooked down, and they smell absolutely delicious. We're not going to add any extra flavourings to that at the moment, because the flavourings will come in a moment. So, moving on to our sort of tomato lasagna, sort of ragu-y sort of vegetable sort of base, right? So we've got our roasted vegetables, and I'm just going to grab my little sort of spatula just there, and I'm going to put all of my vegetables just in there. Now I've only slightly taken the edge off these, right, because if they were too mushy and we add everything else, it's all just going to go to a gentle sort of mush, right, and they're going to continue to cook in the oven sort of afterwards. I'm going to leave that just on there for now. There's one thing that I have forgotten to get, and that's a little bit of tomato sort of puree. So I've got my vegetables just on there, and as you can see on that list, the next thing is we're going to add our herbs and our flavourings, right? So we have got 1 teaspoon of my favourite, which is that smoked sort of paprika, right? I know what a teaspoon looks like, and you know that I love smoked paprika, so there's my smoked paprika just in there. You can't go wrong when you're using smoked paprika. You can't really add too much, right? Then I've got my obligatory sort of mixed herbs, and as it says on that list to the side of me, it's about a teaspoon of that as well. Then I'm going to add my obligatory parsley. It's not on the list, but I'm going to add it, okay, because it's always good to add a little bit of colour. I'm last of all going to add my chunky tomatoes. I've already done half quantity, so I've just got half a can of tomatoes just there. And just to help thicken it up and give it an extra sort of tomatoey sort of flavour, I'm just going to add 2 teaspoons of tomato puree, okay? So that's all of that just in there. And I'm just going to give that a gentle little mix in one direction. So this time you're going in one direction, a little mix in one direction, every single time, just gently mixing that through, right? So it looks very much like that, right? If I was in France, that would be known as a ratatouille, right? Because it's that mixture of lovely vegetables. But we've got our roasted vegetable sort of ragu just there. So that's as easy as it is, and you could make those roasted vegetables in advance, bung them, let them cool down, pop them in the freezer into little bags, and then you can pull them out as and when you want it, right? It's really, really versatile, and you can use them for so many different things. Really, really, really flavoursome. Now then, for my lasagna, you have got a couple of choices. Bear with me just 1 second. I'm going behind my little recipe card. You could make it in a large sort of bowl or glass dish, just like that. However, I'm going to make some mini ones today. So I'm going to make 2 sort of small ones. And as I said, this would easily make sort of 4 to 6 little portions. So I've got that ready just as so. Then, before I start spooning that up, we have got to prepare our lasagna. Now, if you want to use lasagna sheets, and you can see I've got that option on there, okay, you're looking 1 box of lasagna, you're probably looking at about 8 to 10 sort of sheets in total, particularly if you're using one of those, right? Because you probably want 2 to 3 layers of those. With your wraps, you're probably looking, because I'm making them in those and they're quite small, probably 1 wrap maximum for both of them, right? And what I'm going to do with this, and it's the same principle for that, I'm just going to cut them down to the shape or size. I'll move those just there, okay, to the size of that. So that could be one, that could be another. You could then pop and fill on the other bits afterwards, right? But all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down like that. Don't get rid of those little pieces just there. And I'm hoping that if I'm going to do 2 layers of this, I'm hoping that they will fit in quite nicely just as so. And those can be used either to patch up the bits that you haven't covered with your lasagna or your wrap, or they can be turned into tortilla chips afterwards, right? So I've got those ready just there. Let me grab myself a little spoon and we can start layering it up, right? So I'm just going to add a little layer. Oh, I've forgotten to add my garlic, right? So I'm going to add my garlic, a little bit of garlic just into there as well. Forgot about that. So we've got that just going in. I do like, I am a great lover at the moment of those wonderful little garlic granules. So I'm just popping my lasagna sheets in just as so, and you can see the key is not to overfill at this stage, right? And what we're going to do is traditionally, depending on who you're watching, whenever you're making a lasagna, there's so many different ways, right? Some people put the white sauce at the bottom, some people just do it on top, some do it all the way through. I'm sort of just, I would suggest that you just have it on top, because that means that you're having less of that white sauce, but you're still nice and flavoursome. So I'm literally just popping my little lasagna sheet just on top, just as so, and just flattening down those vegetables. Then you can add another little layer, right? So we're getting all those bits out. Try and get a little bit of that sauce on as well. So we're just popping those in just as so, just like that. And then you've got your little wrap once again, and that goes on top, and that one goes on top just as so. In actual fact, I think I overfilled the ones that I made earlier, but we might be able to get away with an extra layer in this one, right? So you'll be doing your 3 little layers, press it all down just as so, and then with these excess bits, this is why I wanted to do it this way, you can pop those on just like that, and then you can add any extra bits that you don't want to use just there, right? So I'm just going to split those just as so, however you wanted to put it on, just like that, and I've got those bits. So I've just patched it up just there. But don't panic, because no one will ever notice that those bits are in there, right? So I'm going to pop those into my compost bin for now. So that's it's made so far. Then it comes to your white sauce, right? And for your white sauce, you've got a couple of options. You can either make a traditional sort of white sauce, and I would very often do that in the microwave, where I would do an all-in-one method, right? So it would be half a pint of milk, 2 tablespoons or dessert spoons of flour, which works out about 50 grams, and 50 grams of margarine. Give it a little mix, pop it in there for 2 minutes, bring it out, another little mix, pop it in there for another 3 to 4 minutes, and then just allow it to stand, right? The recipe for that is on our website. However, I'm going to make a really super easy one, and I'm going to be using some yogurt. This is low-fat Greek yogurt, so we're trying to reduce that total amount of fat, right? So I have got a half quantity. The recipe right at the bottom just there says 500 mils, so it would be a carton, right? But I've just got 250 mils or 250 grams just there of your yogurt, right? Then we have got our egg, and it's the egg that's going to help it to sort of set, right? So let me just grab myself a little fork, and I'm just literally going to crack that open, get my egg just into there. I can get a little bit of antibacterial gel onto my hands. I can pop that straight in there. I'm going to remove that for a minute, and I'm just going to whisk that up together, and you can see that you've got started to get a little sort of lovely little consistency just like that, right? And the great thing about doing it this way is there's no worry about whether you've got a lumpy sauce, because it works really well. Now then, the last thing we've got just there is your cheese, right? So I'm going to do 15 grams of cheese in, okay, and then I can share 15 grams between it, right? Obviously, if you're doing a full quantity, it's the whole 75 grams of cheese. We're very lucky. Just remember, when you're using your cheese, to choose a reduced fat cheese where possible, and also a mature flavour, because that means that you can get that cheesy flavour without having so much, right? And I'm just going to mix that in just as so. And if you think about it, you've got quite a lot of salt coming from that cheese. Now, just because, I'm going to add a little bit of parsley, just like that, just to add a little bit of colour, right? So we've got that just there. So that is my easy white sauce. And this is going to bake in the oven. It sort of souffles up. It's absolutely fantastic. And literally, all that we're going to do is you pop enough on, just like that, just as so. And then all that you're going to do is spread that over just like that, making sure that you're covering all of that lasagna or your wraps, whatever you have decided to use, just as so, so that everything will get lovely and cooked, right? So I'm just popping that over. If you need a little bit more, then you can have a little bit more as well. And as I said, there's lots and lots of ways of making lasagna. Some people will put sauce in between. I'm a great lover of just having it on top and letting it sort of seep down, right? So that's all that just there, and that's left over for another time. The final thing that I'm going to pop on is a little bit more cheese on top. As I said, we use 15 grams in and a little sprinkle on top, and that is our lasagna ready. Now, you could make this in advance and then have it ready in the fridge for a couple of, you can store it in the fridge for a couple of days. You could cook them down, then allow them to cool, and they work really well. Sorry, I've gone behind my recipe card again. So these will get baked off in the oven for 35 to 40 minutes at 200 degrees centigrade. That's gas mark 6, just until they're bubbling, they're piping hot, and I promise you, these are absolutely blasus iawn. So I'm just going to move that just there. As I said, I've got some in the oven that we are going to prepare and eat afterwards. But let me just pop that just under there, and I'm just quickly going to wipe my table area over, and here is the lasagnas that I made earlier, and they smell absolutely fantastic. And you can see that that was hot. Okay, I'm just popping that round just as so, and you can see they are perfectly cooked. That cheese has melted, gone lovely golden brown, and they really do smell absolutely bendigedig, right? So I'm just going to leave those there just for a couple of moments to cool down, because I need my little plate. Couldn't remember what that was called then. And I'm going behind my screen again because I need a thing just here. So all I am now going to do is pull, I think I might use this one just here. I'm going to pull that across just as so, and using this sort of egg and yogurt mixture, it sort of souffles up, and it becomes quite crisp on top, but I promise you it's absolutely delicious, right? And all I'm literally going to do is pull that out just as so and pop that just there, and you can see that you have got an absolutely delicious little lasagna. And the sort of wraps that we're using work so well, and I've chosen to use those wheat and white wraps this afternoon just because you're getting that extra little bit of fibre. Now, you could quite easily serve that on its own, because if you think about it, you've got quite a lot of vegetables in there anyway. However, I'm going to serve it with a little bit of salad and a very quick little balsamic dressing. So I've just got some little gem sort of lettuce just there. So let me pop that on just as so, and then I'm just going to have that as a little green salad today. For my salad dressing, it's super easy. As I've mentioned many times, just remember it's 2 parts oil to 1 part sort of vinegar. And I was in the local supermarket today, one of the discount supermarkets, and cold pressed rapeseed oil, which I would only ever save and use for dressings, was £1.80, right? It's really good value. So you can see that one just there. It's got that lovely gold sort of colour, right? And it's British rapeseed, so we know that we're using British products as well. So I'm going to add 2 spoonfuls of that, right? And then 1 part sort of vinegar. So I've got a little bit of balsamic here today, so I'm just going to pop that in just as so. The next thing that we are going to use, I'm going to add my trusty sort of mixed herbs, and we're going to make it a garlicky sort of one. We're going to add a little bit of garlic granules, and then a little bit of my parsley, just to add a little bit of colour. The last thing I do is I pop that. You could do it in a little sort of jam jar, and I love doing it this way because you end up, I can use a little bit now, I can drizzle a little bit over my little salad, and any leftover can then go into my fridge until the next time I need it. And I'm just going to grab myself a final sort of fork, because I think you can guess what I'm going to be eating in the next 5 minutes. So there you have your roasted vegetable lasagna served with a green side salad and balsamic dressing. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed this afternoon's cook along. It's been wonderful showing you how to make the vegetable recipes this week to celebrate National Veg Week. Don't forget that all the recipe cards are available on the Facebook page as well as our website. I will be back next week. I can't remember for the life of me what we are going to be doing, but I know that it's going to be something absolutely delicious. Don't forget that if you haven't done so already, then the Happy Team would love you to fill out one of their surveys about the programmes and the sessions that we are delivering on the Facebook page for them. So I'm hoping that if it hasn't gone on yet, then one of the Happy Team, or I will do it directly after this session, pop the link to the survey online for you. So diolch yn fawr iawn, enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the weekend, and I will see you for the cook along next Monday. Diolch yn fawr and hwyl fawr. Ta-da.